Hello everyone! As 2020 wraps up, I wanted to make an update video on all of my mains and averages, since I haven't done so in a long time. Let's get started. For 2x2, I use the Angstrom Valk M. I've been using this puzzle for a while now, and it's still very reliable. For those of you interested, I use CLL, and I average around 2 to 3 seconds. For 3x3, I use the MoYu WeiLong WR M 2020. This is a relatively recent main switch. I used to use the original WRM, but I really enjoy the 2020 version of this puzzle. I usually average around 9 seconds and high 8s on a good day. I haven't been practicing a lot of one-handed recently, but I'll most likely end up using the WRM 2020 as my main for one-handed as well, although I am still debating between that and the original WRM. For one-handed, I average around 16 to 17 seconds. For 4x4, I'm still using the Angstrom AoSu GTS2M. I did get the WRM, and I might switch to that one eventually, but I just absolutely love my GTS2M, and I got amazing times on it, I love the feeling, and I didn't feel the need to switch. That said, I haven't been practicing a lot of 4x4 recently, and my average has dropped a little bit, but I'm still averaging around 38 seconds. For 5x5, I use the Valk 5M, and I average around 110 to 115. Once again, this cube has been very reliable for me for a really long time now. I got the new MoYu WR M 5x5, but it didn't really work as well for me, so I'm still using the Valk 5, and I really love it. For 6x6, I'm using the X-Man Shadow V1, however I have the V2 coming in the mail, it just hasn't been delivered yet. It's been really delayed because of the holidays recently, so I'm hoping to get that one soon, and I thoroughly expect it to be my main. That said, I average around 215 to 220 on 6x6. Similarly, in 7x7, I'm using the X-Man Spark M. Now, if you watched my 7x7 comparison recently, I said that I recommended the MGC to most people. And I still do. For me though, what it came down to was I was getting my average times on both the Spark and the MGC. And so the way I chose a main was, which one do I actually enjoy solving on more? And that turned out to be the Spark, because of the smaller size and more flexible turning. I still recommend the MGC to people if they're getting their first magnetic 7x7. I don't think the Spark M is worth the money. I just happen to have it already. On 7x7 I average around 315 to 330. That's a big range, but usually I'm in the low 320s. For Skewb, I use the X-Man Wingy Skewb, and I average about 5 to 6 seconds. I haven't tried the new MoYu one or the GAN one. I'm definitely interested in them, but I really don't practice Skewb that much, and the Wingy works perfectly fine for me. In terms of Square 1, I'm using the TheCubicle Labs version of the Vault version 1, and I'll probably end up upgrading to the version 2 eventually, but similarly to Skewb, I really just don't practice it that much, and I didn't feel the need to get it when it came out, but eventually when my version 1 dies, I'll probably end up getting the version 2. I average around 20 to 22 seconds. For Pyraminx, one of my least favorite events, I recently switched to the X-Man Bell version 2. I really like the blocky turning of this puzzle. It kind of reminds me of the ball-bearing Pyraminx that I had been using as my previous main, but I am happy to upgrade to this magnetic one, and I think the adjustable magnet strength is pretty cool in this puzzle. I also just recently learned L4E for Pyraminx. I just never learned it before, and it kind of slowed me down a little bit for recognition, but I still average around 6 to 8 seconds. Megaminx is another one of my least favorite events, but I also recently switched my main. I'm now using the YuHu V2 M. This is the cheapest magnetic Megaminx you can buy. It's only $13, but honestly I love it. I was previously using the Galaxy V2, which is still an amazing puzzle, but I was a fan of the new style of grip on the YuHu, and I was just getting overall a bit more consistent times on it, so I decided to switch. That said, I average around 120 to 130 on Megaminx. Now, a recent addition to my mains list this year is clock. I have never owned a clock before, but this year I got my very first clock because QiYi finally came out with a magnetic version, and I just had to scoop one up. Now granted, I never practice, but once a competition rolls around with clock in it, I'll definitely compete. The QiYi clock is undoubtedly the best one on the market. The magnets are really amazing, and it turns very well out of the box with minimal setup. This puzzle is really fun to solve, and despite me not actually practicing that much, I still average around 15 to 20 seconds. 3 blind is the only blind event that I do, and it doesn't really matter to me what cube I use for this, so usually I end up using the GTS3 M. And in terms of averages, well, I haven't done a blind solve in a few months, but I usually average around 230 when I get a success. All of my current mains have been provided to me by TheCubicle, so I'd like to give a huge thank you to them for sending me all of these cubes. While not all of my mains are the newest releases for each event, I still really enjoy solving on all of them, and they work well for me. I'll leave links to all of my mains in the description of this video in case anyone is interested in purchasing any of these puzzles. And if you want to get 5% off of all of your orders from TheCubicle.com, you can use the discount code LCC at checkout. Thanks for watching.